Imagine waking up one morning to a bright flash and a wave of heat followed by a mushroom cloud. You are approximately 15 miles away from ground zero from a nuclear blast. If you watch this video towards the end, I will show you exactly why it's actually bad to flee in the case of a nuclear bomb hitting your city. And I will also show you how you could survive the fallout. Well, now the year is 2031 and my whole planet decided to nuke itself. So I'm here from my lovely spaceship. As you can see, we got the galaxy over there, you know what I'm saying? So if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. And if you're coming back, thank you for reviewing my channel. Today, we'll be taking a look at what would happen if a nuke dropped on your city. But please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Today's people don't really know the effects and consequences a nuclear bomb has on a country. The two events that we can kind of look at to see a rough estimate of what would actually happen in the case of a nuclear attack would be the attacks that happened in 1945 on Japan and Hiroshima. The atomic bombs dropped on these places claims the lives of over 200,000 people in the first 6 months, and 6 months later, another 200,000 people would die, which means that these nuclear bombs have effects that could last over years. And this is big because every atomic or nuclear bomb dropped emits a lot of radiation. And this is what mainly kills people over time. The radiation itself can consider a piece of land uninhabitable for at least 7 years. But for today's story, we're going to use New York City as a reference as what would happen if a nuclear bomb would hit a huge city. New York City, one of the biggest and fastest growing places on Earth. If a nuke was dropped on New York City, the damages, the casualties, and the death toll would be way higher than what happened in Japan. But before we go into what would happen if a nuke dropped on NYC, let's see how this affected Japan. On August 6, 1945, 7 warplanes flew over the peaceful city of Hiroshima. At the time, the pilots that were actually flying this plane didn't know what type of bomb they were dropping, except for Colonel Paul Tibbets. He was the only person in the crew that knew what this bomb could do. At 8:14 a.m. Eastern Time, there was a loud explosion over Hiroshima. Ball of fire grew as high as the clouds, and US warplanes that were flying over said everything around them had a tint of blue. And there was an odd metallic taste in their mouths. The bomb detonated at 500,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is basically hotter than the surface of the sun, literally wiping these people off the face of the planet. With all that information, let's see what would happen if a nuke actually dropped in New York City. But what I was saying earlier is that it would be so much worse than Japan because buildings in New York City are made from steel beam and concrete, while Japan houses were made from rice paper and light materials, which mean the debris from these buildings would actually not cause damage to the people, and their materials were so light that even if this building was supposed to fall on them, they wouldn't really get injured or die. Whereas in New York City, these steel beam and concrete can really crush and leave people under rubble for as long. If a bomb that was similar to the one dropped in Japan dropped on Times Square, within the first couple seconds, a massive explosion followed by a wave of heat reaching temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Then a bright flash of light would be seen approximately 12 miles away, which is basically Newark, Queens, and Yonkers. It would take approximately 5 seconds before New York City goes from the Empire State to a no man's land. The skyscrapers alone would cause traumatic damage to anyone in that area. As the nuclear bomb goes off, the shockwave alone would cover over 27 square miles, which basically mean any buildings from a 2 to 7 mile radius, their windows would be completely shattered, and people would actually end up getting stabbed with glass shards. The worst part would be lack of communication because anyone in that area would no longer get cell phone service because the electromagnetic pulse from this blast would render any cell phone or any device in that area unusable. Out of all of that, the worst impact on NYC would have to be the radiation. The people that are 2 to 4 miles away from the detonation zone would actually receive the worst effects. These people wouldn't die instantly, but would be hit with a blast of heat followed by radiation poisoning. And the people that were in Times Square, if the bomb dropped above them, they would be instantly vaporized, feeling absolutely no pain or even know what's going on. In Japan, there are these things called shadow people, and it's basically the people who were instantly vaporized from the atomic bomb. Many of these shadow people are seen around the area, but people on ground zero would be instantly dead, feeling no pain. Which basically means the atomic bomb was so hot that these people instantly got vaporized and just their shadow alone was cemented into the walls. But 4 miles away, any building in that area would get hit with a blast of air and these buildings would all collapse. People 7 miles away would actually get hit with a blast of thermal heat that could cause 3rd-degree burns on their bodies, which would mark that 7-mile area completely uninhabitable for at least 7 years. And this is all because of one thing: the radiation. The fallout from nuclear bombs is one of the, or if not the most deadliest part about a nuclear bomb. If a bomb was dropped on your country or your city today, the first thing people would notice after the initial explosion and everything around them being destroyed would be this grayish looking snow. Kind of looks like dust falling from the sky. But this isn't snow or dust. What this is straight radiation. So if you manage to inhale or by any chance ingest this snowish dust looking particle, you would have radiation poisoning. And this would not set in instantly until a couple hours later when you start to feel sick, and then a couple months later when your whole body is like basically deteriorating. If you want to see the guy that got hit with the most blast of radiation in history, check this video right here and it will show you exactly how this affected his body. So if a nuclear bomb goes off in New York City, dropping over Times Square, at least 300,000 people would die from the initial explosion, but another 300,000 people would die at least years later from radiation poisoning. And with the first ever nuclear bomb dropping over 80 years ago, today we actually have things in place to prevent this. The government obviously have alliances and treaties in place to stop nuclear war from happening, but this doesn't completely ensure our safety from these nukes. The government also have ways of tracking a nuclear bomb by tracking their radiation plume, and within just a couple minutes they would know a nuclear bomb is coming, try to knock it out of the sky, but also warn everyone in the state that a nuclear bomb is coming. Many cities actually have evacuation plans in place just in case of a nuclear attack. And this is how you could survive. Step 1, hide. So sirens are going off, broadcasts are coming in, your phone's going crazy, everyone's panicking. The worst thing you could do right now is leave. As many people in that area would have the same idea as you. The traffic would be horrible and not many people would be able to move. You would just be a sitting duck, and you probably would have an idea of what would happen now that you can't move. The best bet would be to hide and try and find an underground bunker. If no bunker is available, try finding a subway or an underground basement. Those would be your best bet if you're stuck in a city and trying to escape a nuclear blast. Congratulations, you found a subway. As you're in the subway, you hear an air-ripping boom, and everything around you starts to shake. After it cools down, do not leave yet. In about 15 minutes, radioactive debris would actually start to fall down from the sky. This is what I mean by it might look like snow or just dirt falling from the sky. Do not go out yet. Everything on the outside will be covered in radioactive dirt, and if ingested or inhaled will cause radiation sickness, which is a terrible way to die. Check this video right here if you really want to know what would happen if you got hit with radiation. What you would want to do is try and stay inside for at least 72 hours. If it comes down to it, hold on to valuable things you have because they will be useful to trade in case of a nuclear apocalypse. And if the nuclear war gets so bad as to become a nuclear apocalypse, money would be completely valueless. Step 3, search for help. In a time like this, society would actually be very disconnected. Phones would no longer work and broadcasting information would become very hard to do. The best bet for you is try to get anyone in your surrounding area to team up with you and you all could survive as a group. And if you all group up, you all should be able to search for more answers as if there's more bombs coming in or where you can get food or like safety areas that everyone comes together as a community. This would be the best bet in case of a nuclear apocalypse. And now that you have a team of people with you, the last thing that you should do to ensure your safety is move. But if you want to see more videos like this, check out my story time playlist, which involves a man getting jumped by 300 women and a bunch of different crazy stories. And if you want to see the man that got hit with the most radiation in history, click on this video right here. I promise you they're good videos. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. And also check out my other videos because they're good videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, man.